well, you know what they say. The time has come, and so have I. Here is a day that I never thought would happen. She's finally here, and now we're gonna review it. Alright, well, I guess an introduction is necessary. Before we even talk about the figure itself, we have to talk about the character. So, Super Sonico is basically the mascot for the visual novel company Nitro Plus. Not Nitro Plus, it's Nitro Plus, that's how it's pronounced. In 2006, they had the Nitro Super Sonic Music Festival. It's their annual festival to celebrate computer games, but instead, it was about music. And then every subsequent one afterwards was about music. And that's when the character Super Sonico herself debuted. She's basically like the mascot of the company, and I think her the most well-known character that they've created. And she's created by the artist Tsuji Santa. Tsuji Santa is a fairly well-known artist, and he's worked on some pretty well-known stuff like You and Me and Her visual novel, where, spoiler alert, one of the girls fucking murders the main character. And then if you stop playing the game for a long time and then come back to it, they'll remember you and remember that like, you haven't logged into the game in a while. Like, they'll do some fourth wall breaking shit. And Tsuji Santa was also responsible for the artwork for Saya no Uta. I think he did the design for Saya, or I think he just did like the artwork. So there's that. But his most notable character is Super Sonico, and his creation, his everything. Like, that character is everything for him. So Super Sonico is a fictional character. She's a mascot and everything, and she did get her own game eventually in the form of SONICO for the PC, released I think in 2011. And then I got a Steam version a couple years later, which is based on the Japanese PlayStation 3 version, Motto SONICO. But the PC version took out costumes. The Western version took out costumes that were from the PS3. However, that's not Sonico's only like Western appearance. She also appeared in the anime Soni Ani, which is an anime all about her and her modeling career, because she's a model and she's an idol. She's also a musician and everything, and a singer. That's kind of like her whole thing. It kind of represents Nitro Plus as a whole. Like, 2 anime girls, a visual novel where you play as the photographer. So a visual novel about her. It's all about music. It's all about her performing and, you know, taking pictures and everything. And her whole motif is like music. And she's even like huge fans of like, I think Metallica and I think Nirvana and other bands. So yeah, and there's even like a Nirvana cover, I think, from her actual in-universe band, First Astronomical Velocity. And she's appeared in other stuff, like she appeared obviously in Nitro Plus Blasters, which is a fighting game with a bunch of different Nitro Plus related characters, including Saber from the Fate series, and then Homura from Samurai, and then the girl from Arcana Heart. And then, like, I think Chris Kurisu from Steins Gate makes a cameo. And then the girl from Expelled from Paradise makes a cameo. That's pretty interesting. But, beside that, she also appears in Super Heroine Chronicle, which is basically a Super Robot Wars style game for the PS3, which features the Hibiki Tachibana from fucking Symphogear and Super Sonico in the same game, which I think is hilarious. And if only they could meet again. Anyway, and then, finally, when Lilith Soft, the creators of Taimanin, released Taimanin RPG in 2018, eventually, you know, they started trying out collabs, and then I think the first one they did was Super Sonico. So, while Taimanin RPG, especially Taimanin RPG X, is a X-rated game, hence the giant X, Sonico herself does not get naked. To be fair, she never actually does in any game. Because despite how very obvious and voluptuous her character design is, they never take it to that level. With some exceptions. You'll probably see that later in the video, but there's some exceptions to that, where they're willing to push it a little bit. but let's just say you'll never see anything below the waist. But with that, yeah, Super Sonico's also appeared in Summer Conqueror Peach Beach Splash. From 2018 to 2020, Super Sonico was also a VTuber at one point, and she played a lot of Evil Within for some reason. That was really fun. I liked it more than regular VTubers because it was the voice actress for the character playing into the character and, you know, trying to act like it's actually her instead of, I guess, just being themselves and then they're pretending to be a character. Like, it doesn't really work. Like, they're giving the character life instead of, like, trying to pretend that they're not a real person. You know, it's hard to explain. But anyway, that being said, Super Sonico got added to Taimanin RPG, didn't have any erotic CG scenes, but she got like the full treatment. She got her own special event map, which lasted I think like a whole month. The reason I played Taimanin RPG in the first fucking place was because Super Sonico got added as a character. And I was like, alright, if she's in whatever game, I'll play the game if she's in it. Because I did that like for Summer Conqueror Peach Beach Splash, even though that was just me being a Summer Conqueror fan, so it was more like a bonus, like, oh shit, my favorite character got added to this like third-person water gun shooter. And then she was of course in the fighting game, which she's my favorite character to play, of course. And then, yeah, Taimanin RPG, she got the full blowout, full map treatment. You could upgrade her character and like give her more powered up state. Like, she even had like her own LR and everything, which I mapped her out and everything. I went so crazy, even though I was a complete noob in the game. I somehow managed to max her out. And then Sakura even gets an alternate version of herself where she wears Sonico's outfit, which does have an erotic CG scene. So, close enough if you just want to see Sakura wearing Sonico's clothes. And I believe there was another character that wore something similar to her. But all I'm remembering right now is Sakura. Because Sonico was in the game, Sakura was in the game, and I think somebody else had the outfit or something. They even gave Sakura the guitar, which was kind of cool. In the game, Sonico was basically attending like a ninja school to become part of the Taimanin, but not really, because she's an idol and she was kind of, it was like a trying out for a day kind of thing. So, you know, she was trying it out and she stumbles a lot and she's having a hard time. And then you get this really nice shot where you're like on her lap and you can see like the huge Twin Peaks right there. And it's like, damn, this art is great. It's Santa made original art in a new outfit design just for her, which I think is amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much the character. The event, the CG scenes and everything, a unique dialogue with different characters and unique dialogue with like the player character and everything. It's all super cool. And then it resulted in more collaborations in regards to this specific version of the character, where they released those two fucking giant mouse pads, one for her tits and one for her mega huge ass. And then they released a statue figure, which mine had the ponytail break on it, like when I took it out of the box, and I had to use super glue to get Gorilla Glue to get that shit to work. That was really annoying, and I'm disappointed that the figure broke. I feel like I had bad luck. And then they released a garage kit for it, which looks amazing and has the pose I think from her powered up state, but it's not painted because, you know, it's a garage kit, so ugh, that sucks. I wish I could just get like a full painted version of it, but oh well. I could do like a whole video on garage kits. The garage kits are very interesting because like you're going out of your way to pay for something that's not even finished. Technically, you have to paint it yourself and put it together with like a model kit, but less finished. I normally don't do this because I typically look at the figure without the box, because I bring them without the box because I can't really bring them here. But since this one just arrived, we can take a look at it. So, you know, we have like a little bit slightly faded out illustration from Santa, Super Sonico creator. And here has the text and everything, picture of the figure, and one of the poses from like all the promotional material and everything. I'd say it looks pretty good. And of course here is a more clearer version of the picture and everything. The side, there's not much there. And this side, there's not much. And then on the back you get a bunch of promo images showing all the various poses. It's hard to see because it's in a black background. But yeah, it's really fucking hard to see in this lighting, but we'll be able to take a look at it and see how good the figure really is. Also, it says fucking ages 15 and up, which is so funny considering the game that it comes from. Alright, so straight out of the box, you can clearly see all of her accessories. This actually makes it a lot easier than me having to spread it all out. Super Sonico comes with the following accessories. She comes with this smug looking face that looks absolutely hilarious and I love it. She also has this kind of soft looking face with her eyebrows raised. Then she has this very concerned looking face with her eyes off to the side. And then she has this completely wide-eyed, shocked face. And it's like, oh, okay, wow. And then she also has her, you know, beautiful smile and everything. She also comes with all these different style pose hands, the ponytail for her hair, the guitar, and the sword. And of course, can't forget about the figure stand. You see, look, figure stand, same thing that they all come with. Yeah, and then she comes with all of these different hands. She comes with the regular, calm, relaxed hands. She comes with gripping hands for the sword. She comes with open palm hands. She comes with ninjutsu hands. She also comes with another open palm hand, so you can use it to hold the guitar. Now we can take her out of the box. Forgot to mention one more accessory. It comes with these insert cards straight from the Lilith store, because this was ordered straight from Japan from the Lilith store from my buddy. So, you know, it's about as direct from the company as you could get. Besides getting like a review sample, but that's not what this is. But this is a couple weeks late. We're gonna take a look at these real quick. Yeah, so these cards are essentially random, and they have most of the Taimanin characters written on it. And you know, it's kind of like those gacha cards, or like when you open a card pack. So we're gonna see what the first one is. Ooh, and I cannot. Okay, can't show this one. I can't show the full image. And I don't think Sonico comes with any like inappropriate parts, so I can't really show you what's in that card. And I got my fingerprint on it already. But yeah, that's a card, certainly. Okay, now for the second card. This is honestly just an extra because this isn't part of the video. This isn't supposed to be part of the review, but it came with the cards, so might as well look at them. Okay, this one's also inappropriate. Here is Isuka-chan. Yeah, it's nice. Okay, now for the next one. I think it's pretty easy to imagine how that card's supposed to look. But yeah, there you go. Pretty hot card. No sense covering the bottom because you can't really see it anyway. But I don't actually know this character. I don't think I've seen her even in the mobile game, but pretty hot character. I love this card. It says anything from 41 up to 47 is considered a quote-unquote rare card. So every other card is more common. So Yukikaze and the other characters are more common. And meanwhile, everybody else, all these question marks that are very fucking hard to see, are considered rare. So let's see what this next one is. It's showing quite a little bit, but nice card. I swear I don't know the names of the characters, all the characters. And I'm doing a bad job covering it, but yeah, this one looks pretty cool. Number 32. Also, this isn't for like a trading card game or anything. It just seems to be rare cards that come with various Taimanin products. Okay, so now. Alright, so now we gotta take out the next one. It comes with Sakura and Murasaki. She's the other character from Taimanin Yukikaze. And of course Sakura, which I reviewed already, her figure. She's from the main Taimanin series. But yeah, don't gotta use a whole lot of imagination for this one. This one's not listed as a rare card, but I think this is a really damn good card. It should be valuable. Anyway, let's go back. Okay, so Sonico stands at about 5.5 inches, or almost about 5.5 inches. It should be about the same as the other Taimanin figures. And that makes her roughly almost 14 centimeters, so I think that's fairly normal. I think she matches the size of the other Taimanin figures, so there's that. Of course, Yukikaze is the short one, but you know. Also, you may have noticed, unlike Yukikaze, well, she initially had that problem at first when I did the video, but then as I went through the review, you noticed that she could, but Sonico can stand up, just like all of the others. Just like all the other Taimanin figures, so this is a huge plus. I love having figures that can stand up, and the one that I've been waiting for the most, being able to stand up properly, 10 out of 10 being able to stand up. Alright, but for real, let's talk about articulation. Alright, so I attached the ponytail, and it's basically like on a long peg with a hinge, and you can kind of rotate it and do whatever you want with it. It's a bit better than some of the other characters, like how Yukikaze's hair works, and I think a bit better than how Asagi's work, but this is fine. I'll try and leave it like that for now. Okay, so her head seems to be on the same peg, like neck joint system that they had already. So she can look up pretty far, but I don't think she can. Oh no, but she can look down just as much. She can look straight into her tits. So that's good, I guess. If I could see from there. Oh no! Wow, look at that. That's crazy. But I think she doesn't have the extendable neck thing like the other ones do. Either that or mine just looks like she has a really long neck. Oh no, I see what they did. What they did is that they made her head look a bit longer so that it can kind of cover up the joints. You get the usual side to side, kind of like Figma. So you can tilt her head to the side and, you know, move it up and down, but you don't really get much lean. Like, you get some lean actually. They might have improved this since last time. You get a little bit of it. You don't get like complete attitude, like a little bit of lean, but you're still a bit limited, but there you go. So I think her face looks perfect. I think they got her face right. I have like tons of Sonico figures, so like, I'm used to seeing her face in like plastic, like three-dimensional form, and I think they did a really great job here. The eyes are printed on perfectly, like they reflect the way that she looks both in the artwork and in Tsuji Santa's like more recent like art, where her eyes are not just pure red, they're like red with like a whole bunch of different colors in them. The hair even represents like the newer style of hair detail that he does, although it doesn't seem to have the shine on the bangs here, and like it's missing some of the like subtlety in the color, but it looks more or less like how it usually does. They even included the blue highlights that he's been drawing more recently, which help her stand out a lot more. And you can see like how seamlessly it tries to connect to the ponytail with the strands here. And the headphones look good too. Can't forget the headphones. Can't forget our headphones. They always look really good. They're not like a metallic finish. They look obviously plasticky. So they look alright. Hopefully they don't break, because that's kind of a problem on a lot of those statue figures, where they have a tendency to break, especially this part here, but it'll be fine, right? Yeah, but I think she looks great. Like, I couldn't have asked for a more accurate looking Sonico action figure. So the face is fantastic. Like, this isn't the expression I wanted to use, but I don't feel like taking out the face. But you know what? Let's actually swap the face out. Okay, okay, so this was a little bit tougher than it was supposed to. So you just take the front bangs out, and then you're left with her face, and you can see her eyebrows and everything. They look a little thinner than they're supposed to. I think in the actual artwork they're supposed to be a bit thicker. Okay, and then you just... Alright, so this gives us a better view of how it is. So I think it has the same peg that goes into the back of the hair, the back of the hair piece, and then this little peg here. But it doesn't have the up and down mechanism like the other ones do to extend and shorten the neck. But it's pretty much the same. It's just that you don't see the exposed joint in that little like cross-shaped kind of thing like Asagi and Sakura had. But I just wanted to swap one of the faces out. So to put them back on, they have these two pegs here on the side, the rectangular looking ones. Then you just line it up like this. Pushes in really securely. And I'm pretty sure you just slide this back in. You would just wedge it back in. And there you go. A lot more secure than like Sakura, for example. I think Sakura had a problem where in my reviews, it was kind of easy for her hair and everything to come off, like just by messing around with it. But with Sonico, I guess they learned a bit, made it a bit more secure. So now we can move on to the rest of the articulation. So the arms seem to be around the same. It still has the shoulder joint here that can be pushed inward and outward. And it can bring the arms in about this much. Same on this one. About that much. Since she does have a sword, so I guess you could probably get her to hold it to do a two-handed sword pose. We'll see about that. And has the full rotation, just like all the other ones. And since her outfit design is a bit more closer to Asagi and Sakura as opposed to Yukikaze, that means she should have the bicep swivel. Like the same bicep swivel, not the weird one that Yukikaze has that I thought didn't exist, but it does. So let's try that out. And it does. So you get your bicep swivel, you get your single jointed elbow, which has pretty good range. I think it's about the same range as the other two. Like, this is articulation that we've already seen before, if you've seen the previous videos. So, more or less, this is the same. But they did a better job painting or applying the fishnet pattern as opposed to like how they did it with Sakura and Asagi. It's also not super shiny like it was last time. Like, yeah, it's more matte, and it's not technically supposed to be shiny since it's like a fishnet, but it's not as like glossy or whatever as it was before. Yeah, so you get the single jointed elbow, which can bend a little bit back, and it's actually painted all the way in, because before the color of the paint, the plastic was still there, but the pattern wasn't there all the way. And then of course you get the ball joint with a little peg here. It seems you can wiggle it a little bit more now. So it still has an up and down, vertical and horizontal hinge. So you pop this out and then it'll go inward. Like, it's pretty easy to put it back in. Yeah, so now it goes vertically this way and then this way. But you can also put it back on horizontally, and then it goes inward and outward. So it's pretty good. So the arms, pretty good. It still kind of has the same problem that the other that all of them seem to have, where it doesn't T-pose completely. Yeah, so they don't seem to have the same problem where they come out completely, like where like they would go down a little bit. Like this one kind of has it, but I think if you just nudge it, you kind of get it like that. But or maybe it's like if you do it like that. I don't know. This one's kind of has the problem, but I remember on Sakura and Asagi, it was on the left arm, but not really a big deal. Alright, so far, things are looking pretty good. sadly, Sonico does not have articulated boobs like like Sakura and Asagi, so that's unfortunate. So she just kind of has a static chest piece that doesn't articulate at all. Looks great, but it doesn't move. So that's actually, I consider that a downgrade. Actually, that's the only like negative I can give so far. That like the boobs don't move. Like she doesn't really do that in the games, I guess. But you know, there's like jiggle physics, I guess. But like, yeah, they don't move. But the crazy thing is that this thing here, I thought was all one mold. This moves, and I'm not going to show you right now. That's for me. Alright, so for the upper body, you can see is a similar mechanism to how they did the previous figures, where it has like the hinge, I think, ball peg thing here, and then the side, it has like a full ball peg on this side. Leaning back, she can do a crazy fucking bend. Look at this. That's insane. She's bending like crazy. And it doesn't have any like crazy gapping or anything, so that's pretty good. Then leaning forward, just like with Sakura's massive boobers, doesn't really get in the way. She can lean just fine. Oh wait. Even then, I think like that's decent. Yeah, if you could move these, you could get slightly more range, but it's not as bad as it could be. I've seen worse. Alright, but now what about the lower body, like the abdomen? So you get crazy lean like this. It does get a bit gappy. They did make these, the diaper piece, shorter, but it's also a floating piece like Yukikaze, so, you know, this does get gappy, which is a bit of a problem, which I know that's why they had the bigger diaper piece to prevent that. But I think having all this lean on just this joint is impressive. But what happens if we combine it? Look at it, her fucking torso like dislocates. Oh my god, that's amazing. You can do whatever range you want. And then leaning forward, she kind of just goes all the way forward. Combine it with the floating piece and everything. Like, look at that. She can like lean almost 90 degrees forward. And then leaning back. This again does get a bit gappy because there's a diaper piece and everything. But just like with Asagi and Sakura, bam, look at that. Look at this crazy shit. The reason that Yukikaze couldn't do this is because the hair got in the way. But look at that. That's crazy. Alright, so now we can look at the lower body. So this is a floating piece. Helps keep everything together. These unfortunately don't move in any kind of way. But unlike Yukikaze, these are actually painted a lot nicer. And don't look all lame. Or like they just slapped plastic on it and then drew lines on it. Like they actually individually painted like the frills. Like the frills actually have like the silver lining on the bottom and the top. And it flawlessly like connects to the armor. And it's like a glossy kind of frilly color. Which in the artwork it doesn't really look like this, but I guess it matches like the metallic aesthetic that they're going for with the other ones. But yeah, it actually looks nice, and it doesn't look like the half-assed it, kind of like the Yukikaze's. I feel bad for hers. Yeah, so this looks great. I just wish they could adjust and move kind of like Yukikaze's, but hopefully that doesn't get in the way. I have a feeling it might, but let's see. Also, I want to take a look at this for a second. Her ass is huge. Look at this ass. I want you to take a look at this giant ass. Also, yes, she's wearing clothes. You can see underneath that it does connect to the body. It's just that her ass cheeks are covering the crack. It's like in between the crack. Like, that's insane. Look at the ass. Alright. Also, this is all flesh tone and everything, so this is nice. You get a lot more of Sonico than you usually do. Even with like some of the statues. But anyway, let's focus on the figure. So So her legs actually come out to the side. I guess with the legs lowered. About that much. Disappointingly, not as much as the other figures, because the frills get in the way. I think what they could have done is they could have done like what they did with Yukikaze, and just made it so that the frills were on a ball joint. That, yeah, you'd have to attach it, but I feel like that would have been much better. So unfortunately, she loses a bit of range. But I think if you're a bit clever and go like this, you can still get splits. It just looks really weird because the joints are fully fucking exposed. But that's okay. Well, I want to say it's okay, but you know, I'm not trying to let my bias towards the character like get in the way. But I consider that a bit of a downgrade because Yukikaze didn't have a problem doing splits because these things could move out of the way. I wish these things could move. I wish somebody could do that. And for the front, it can actually kick forward. So she can actually kick forward. That's good. I thought this was going to be a worst case scenario. It kind of jumbles it up, but I'd say that's the best they could probably do considering they didn't want to move this piece. My biggest criticism so far is that they didn't make the frills adjustable. But alright. And what about kicking back? Unfortunately, not much kickback due to the giant ass. But that's fine. The other ones don't have that. Do have the same problem, so not much I can say. I wish figures could kick front and back perfectly fine, like some of the old Dragon Ball figures, but you know, they don't fucking do that anymore. I guess nobody cares about front and back splits. So they have the thigh here, and see it connects to the garter belt here, and this is actually a hidden thigh swivel, kind of like the other ones. See, it turns to the side seamlessly, like you can't even tell. So you can kick forward and then turn the legs to the side like that. So you get more subtlety, which I think is great, and it's going to help with posing. The splits are being a bit of a problem, but we'll see how that is. Alright, and then she has the double jointed knee. So you do it the same way you do it with the other ones. So you go like that, and then you go like that. But they actually accommodated for her by cutting up more of the inner part of the thigh right here in the back. So there's more of a curve here, so that when you bend it, it almost goes all the way straight. So proportion wise, I think it's pretty good. I think maybe the lower leg is a little long, but I don't know. I'm not an anatomy expert. Okay, and then I think it has the exact same kind of toe, like ball joint system they got here with the hinge and everything. If it's a hinge, I don't know. And these, even though they go down like this, they don't actually get in the way too much. So I think they learned their lesson. It shouldn't really go down either, but I guess it's if you want her to like tiptoe or something. But alright, so far articulation, minus like the frills getting in the way of the splits, 9 out of 10 for articulation. Originally, one of these legs was super wobbly, and I couldn't figure out like what the problem was. So what the problem was actually, excuse the inappropriate angle here, but I just wanted to mention that on the insides, it's a bit hard to see, but that long peg that connects with a ball joint sort of thing, it connects to the stomach essentially, and there's a peg there, and it's supposed to be stable and not move, even though, you know, with all the other Taimanin figures it's been pretty solid. But for some reason this one had an issue where the stomach thing the peg would curve down and then cause these legs to go down, like almost like a drop down mechanism, but that's not how it's intended to be used. So it causes a huge problem where the legs slip out, and then that torso joint thing also slips out, and then the whole figure just kind of falls apart. And I thought that was a huge issue. And you can see here that there's a ball socket that connects to the ball joint on the main like peg, and then that has that curved thing that connects to this, which is a ball joint that connects to a ball socket here on the thigh. But my problem was that this, I think originally this one was a little loose, but this one was especially loose. So whenever I did try to stand her up, I'm gonna try and recreate it because I can't do it for real. See, and then it has weird issues like being loose. I don't know if that's looseness or if it's flopping or whatever. No, that's looseness. That's looseness. It's loose. See, now it's tight because I put a bunch of blue tack slash putty on it. But the tack basically made her much more stable. So now her legs move like the way Asagi's basically do. So, okay, maybe this one's a little too tight, but I'd rather have it be too tight than be super loose and not function. The other problem was that I originally put tack on the socket, the upper part here, that is essentially like the hip bone or whatever, made that too tight so that whenever this moved, it moved the whole damn thing. So the thighs would just go all over the place and just not function properly, which is a huge pain in the ass, which is why the back of this is so damaged and the paint scratched off, because I was having to constantly move this all the way high up so I can try and fix it. So there's a lot of frustrations with this figure, which I don't think are intentional, and maybe I had bad QC on mine, or they just didn't design that hip area correctly, which is odd because all of the other figures minus, I guess Sakura is the only one of the problems, all had perfectly functioning legs and hips, where I didn't have to fix anything or try and do anything different. They all functioned the same. But then Sonico's for some reason had some issues where they weren't working properly, and then the legs either were too loose, the hips would fall apart, and then I have to reattach this reattach this floating piece crotch thing. And it would typically happen whenever I would try to get her to do like a high kick, so it would just constantly fall apart, and it was so fucking frustrating. So as much as I don't want to be negative about this figure, it's important to be negative and point out the pros and cons, because, you know, these things aren't perfect, and it'll help these companies make better figures in the future, hopefully. All of them have really good articulation. It's just that Yukikaze's problem is the big hair getting in the way, and also her, what was the other problem? Oh, and her weird arm swivel. She didn't have the same swivel as the other ones. But yeah, so far, that's great. But let me go back to the aesthetic real quick, because I forgot to talk about it. Right, so from head to toe, I think the aesthetic, they nailed it perfectly. So the hair is like this porcelain kind of glossy sort of pink, and it is a little windswept looking. I kind of wish it was neutral, but it's okay, or if it was somehow movable. But and it even has like the ribbons tied in here, and unlike the statue figure, these don't fucking dangle around on their own. Like, they're actually sculpted as part of the hair and everything, so it's a lot more stable than it was on that statue. But yeah, and I think here they printed the fishnet pattern a bit sloppily. You can kind of see that it's not like completely printed, like on the left collarbone part here, on your right, and then here, like, they kind of did a bit of a poor job, but it's okay. It's a small detail, but they did it better than Yukikaze. Yukikaze almost looked like a Spider-Man fucking lazy figure. The fishnet pattern on the arm is actually done exceptionally well, and like I mentioned, Hold on. And in the joint, it's actually still, I think, painted on. Or the color at least is a lot better. Because on the other two, Asagi and Sakura, it was really obvious to see the color once this piece bent. So it was it kind of broke it, but it wasn't too noticeable. As for the body, I think they got the body just right. Like, they even gave her thicker thighs. Like, these thighs aren't like completely the same as Asagi and Sakura's thighs. They actually gave her unique proportions. Maybe not for the arms, but everything else is unique proportions. Like, her head is different, her hair is different. This might be reused, the leg armor and everything, but for the most part, everything is different. Her ass is huge. Look at the ass. This is a giant ass. Like, I know everyone talks about Sonico's tits, but hold on, we gotta talk about her giant ass. Like, this is not the same ass that they gave Sakura and Asagi. Like, this is a completely different ass. And, like, the thighs are different too, like I mentioned. And it has this garter belt, like, strap here that connects to the upper part, which obviously looks weird as soon as you fucking move it, but it's fine. This kind of, like, it's not shiny, but like this kind of reflective sort of surface here looks like a lot like Sakura's, so that's fine. The metallic kind of shine here they have on the boob covers, and of course they have like the heart shape here, the glossy like silver, and then the frills, like I mentioned, are this amazing like glossy kind of shiny color. And they actually bothered to paint all of the frills and actually make it look like it's two separate connected pieces instead of like that blobby looking mess like they did on Yukikaze. Like, it still looked okay, but not for the price point. For the price point, I expected perfection. Alright, so aesthetics and everything, 9 out of 10. I'm gonna give it, personally, I want to give it a 10 out of 10. There's certain things that though they kind of mess it up, like the frills not being able to move, which get in the way of the legs, so that kind of can hurt the aesthetic of it when you pose. And so aesthetic, articulation, I gotta give it a 10. Articulation maybe gets like a 9, I'd say, or 8.5, I'd say maybe, just because boobs don't move, which definitely a disappointment. And also because these, but for real, these actually do get in the way. A little bit. But it doesn't prevent the leg from going up like this, so just like the others. It just won't look as nice as it does on Sakura or Asagi. But maybe that's so that it doesn't scratch any paint. Because that was a massive problem Asagi had. I mean, Sakura. Alright, so now we gotta look at the accessories. Okay, so real quick, let's talk about the aesthetic for the accessories. I know Sonico in the game, she kind of fights with like a completely blank looking sword, but this looks like they just made the plastic and then they didn't touch it. Like, they didn't put any paint or any kind of special application on it, so she just has like this plain black looking sword, which I guess makes sense, but it also looks completely pale. Like, she doesn't get like a cool sword like the way Asagi did. Asagi had a really cool looking sword. And even Sakura had like those nicely painted daggers and everything, but that's all you get. Hey, at least it's not bending or anything, but yeah, you just get this. The guitar though, I guess makes up for it. Like, this looks like her actual guitar that she has in a lot of her promo art and everything. And they didn't put the strings on it, which they didn't bother to paint lines for the strings, which I guess would have been a bit of a mess. But yeah, it's a toy, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this looks fine. Even has like the same glossy kind of texture as like a real guitar. And even on the back. And here, there's like a peg here, and a peg on the bottom to connect the guitar strap for Sonico. You know, because that's her main thing, she's a musician. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Okay, so this is the strap. The strap has like a fuzzy, like fabricy kind of feel on this bottom part here, And then on the outside is more leathery feeling, so you just peg this little hole here. It's a bit hard to see, this little hole here. Peg it into that part of the guitar, and same for this one. And I'm assuming since it's like a stretchy sort of plastic, it will be a bit easy to peg on. Okay, so either the hole is too big, or too small, or the peg is too big. I currently can't get that on right now. Hopefully, hopefully I can get that on later, but for now, I think the guitar looks great. It's just that having a hard time putting the actual fucking strap on the guitar. And of course, Sonico comes with the same figure stand that all the other ones do, but since this one's brand new, it's not as messy, it's not as dirty. Also, it has a different copyright on it. It has the Nitro Origin 2006 copyright, and Lilith 2021, because this figure was supposed to come out like over a year and a half ago. But this thing got delayed so many times, like I just assumed it was never coming out. I'm so happy this problem got fixed, but yeah, it has the same claw grip thing like Sakura and Asagi, and then you just plug it into Sonico on the back, and that's it. Not much else to say about a figure stand I've looked at like twice already. Alright, well the sword actually slips on pretty easily. I guess the simplistic design of it and also the plasticky nature of it actually makes it really easy for her to grip onto. So that's actually a plus. I'll give him that. It's a plus. Makes it so you don't have to worry about paint. It still looks kind of bland, but it works. And now if you can just combine all of the joints and everything, you can get it to do like a really cool sword holding pose similar to the ones I did with Asagi and Sakura. I'm gonna keep saying their names a lot, aren't I? Pretty nice. The sword looks like it's about to fucking stab the camera though. And she doesn't seem to have the same problem that Saki and Sakura had, where the wrist, like the design of the armor on the wrists, made it so that the hands couldn't tilt all the way. Because that was a problem they had, and it would cause the hands to slip out, but she doesn't seem to have that problem. The only problem she has, which I guess is a problem, but not really, is that since the armor isn't there to cover up the gap right here between the ball joint, the hand, and the wrist, makes it more obvious that the wrist joint is there, but I barely see that as a problem. I don't really care, to be honest. Looks fine, it's a toy, so you know it's gonna look like a toy. Yeah, so this fits perfectly fine, but let's check out the guitar. Let's check out the guitar. Alright, so for the guitar, not too difficult to put on. You have to swap to the other gripping hand, which I thought was the one with the guitar pick, but there's no guitar pick hand. I got it confused with a different Sonico figure that I have. But this one, even without the strap for the guitar, it actually fits pretty well in the left hand. And with the right hand, you know, you can make it look like she's strumming the guitar and everything. So there's that. But you definitely want to put the guitar strap so that it doesn't easily fall off, because that seems to be the problem. Because if I adjust this a little bit, you see it gets loose and then it falls off, so that's a bit of a problem. You can just like slip it back in, but that's obviously not how they want you to use it. They want you to hold, oh wow, I did it perfectly. They want you to hold it as if she's actually wearing like the strap and everything, playing the guitar. So, you know, that's a fair, you know, thing that they want you to do. Makes sense, that's how guitars work. They're heavy, so you don't want to hold that shit without strap and everything. So what do I think of the Taimanin RPG Super Sonico figure from Sentinel? Not from Second Act, even though it's totally from Second Act, it's just that it's not a hentai figure. So it's not Second Act branded. Sentinel is the distributor, not the maker, I think. It's still the fucking same as Second Act. It's just like, why are you guys trying to lie? But because I got an 8 due to her like some of her articulation issues, and her accessories being a bit fiddly and her hair being all over the place and everything. Like, I can't deal with that. It's too much. It's too much. Sakura had like a really wobbly right leg. I don't know why. That shit didn't fit properly. And then the paint kept coming off of like the thigh area, and that was really annoying. Her face would come off a lot, and some of her accessories were locked behind the option part set, which I did say was a great option part set, but the fact that like you have to buy that extra set to get all the extra shit, most of which came, you know, just like the belly thing, which also came with, which was also in Asagi's part set, which didn't even need to be a part set, to be honest, because it was just one fucking accessory. Sakura came with at least a bunch of other ones, like with the bigger boobs and the nose harness or whatever the hell it was, like all that other stuff. And then Yukikaze had like arguably the best accessory set. She had like the fully exposed like body and everything and all that other stuff. So it's like, alright, cool. Sonico comes with a sword and a guitar. That's kind of it. So I'd say like, I still want to give it an 8 for accessories, 8 or 9 for accessories. I'm gonna say 8 for accessories. Because the faces are great, the hands are great, the guitar, I can't get the strap to work properly right now at the moment. And the sword is really plain looking, and it does come with the figure stand and everything, so she might be I'm not going to say the weakest in terms of accessories, but it's kind of like how Asagi was just kind of normal. Like all she came with was like that little cardboard thing and the sword. But yeah, I'll list the pros. The pros, it looks beautiful, it looks amazing, I love how it looks. It looks so accurate to the source material, like minus the hair shine like on the top of the bangs, which is fine. They don't have to add that, but because they already have a great shade of purplish pink, so that fits her hair perfectly. The overall proportions look great. This is how she looks. I do think the boobs need to be a little bit bigger and a little bit more curved, a little bit more like, kind of give it a bit more realistic proportions for, even though they're like ridiculously huge. A bit more like subtlety in the shape, but they didn't really do that. Because if you compare it to the Taimanin RPG artwork, it doesn't really look exactly the same. The model kit, the garage kit that they released that was unpainted, and then, you know, they have like previews for the painted one. That one looked extremely accurate. And also, the overall part of the purple latex, as great as that looks, it's technically not accurate because it's supposed to be black. She's supposed to be wearing black with purple, with those purple metallic parts. But for some reason, they made it like a dark bluish purple instead of all black. Like if I show you the Taimanin statue figure for Sonico, it is all black. Like that whole part is like blackish gray. A little darker, a few shades darker than Sakura's, which that's more accurate. It's a bit more shiny. This one has a more matte finish, kind of like Sakura's. So while it's inaccurate, it's not really a big deal. You won't really notice it unless you're like me and you obsessively know these kind of details. The ponytail and everything functions great. It's a lot better than how the statue figure did it, where they molded, I think, the ponytail as one part of the sculpt, and then like it broke off, and that was a problem. This one can just unattach and then reattach so easily, deattach and unattach so easily, so it's fun. The floating piece skirt, okay, well, I really wish that was a adjustable skirt. Like, I really wish I had a ball peg or something, or a hinge, or like those Dragon Ball like shoulder pieces, like for the Saiyan armor or whatever. Really wish it was like that. That's a problem. The legs are super thick. I love those thighs. Those are great. It does look kind of weird when you bend them, because it makes the separation of the like clothing and armor look a little too obvious, but that's it. So despite all the frustration and everything I've had, this figure still gets an 8. It's just that you shouldn't have to it's just that the person buying it shouldn't have to fix a lot of the problems that it has. To be granted, it's only in one specific area of the figure, although it does affect 3 different types of joints, but overall it has way more positives than negatives, but the negatives are very significant and deserve to be pointed out. But I'm not gonna complain that much when I get a super articulated Super Sonico action figure, and she's like my favorite character, so take it with a grain of salt. There might be some bias in there, but I think this figure is pretty amazing. And personally it gets a 9 from me, because I'm taking it with the flaws, but objectively I'll give it an 8 out of 10. But hopefully we can see more of these kinds of figures in the future, especially for Sonico. Please make Rinko and Ingrid from Taimanin, and Shiranui. My only problem is that you're gonna have a hard time finding her, maybe, because or you're gonna have a hard time justifying it, because a lot of the import websites like Hobby Link Japan or like Ami, I think probably have her for like over $200, and that's way overpriced. Her retail price I think is like 16,000 yen, so like 140 to about like 160 I think is supposed to be the number, like somewhere between like 140 and above. But like $220 for her, like, does that include shipping in those websites? I don't think so. You probably gotta pay for the shipping too, so that's way overpaying for her. I didn't buy any of the Taimanin figures for over $200. All of them were under like 190. That was with those accessories. Like each of them were around like 160, 190 maybe. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. But yeah, they're all around the same price pretty much. Like when you combine the accessories and everything, like each of them are kind of equal. But that being said, probably the best figure in my personal opinion. But I think Saki is probably the best one, like objectively, just because she doesn't have all these annoying things getting in the way. No like no frills, no like stuff that you have to plug in. The boobs move and everything, blah blah blah. All that is good, but Sonico looks the best, I think, in my opinion. Her face looks the most accurate, I think, out of all of them. Like Sakura looked pretty close. Sakura looked really good, but she didn't have like the darker tan skin that I think she has in the other game. So, although sometimes she's drawn pale, so I'm not sure. But yeah, like I know I keep repeating myself, but 10 out of 10 personally, 8.5 or 9 objectively as a review. So there you go. Buy the fucking Sonico Taimanin RPG figure. Please don't get ripped off, and please try not to spend $200 on it. I don't think it's worth that much. You should be able to get it for retail price. So, alright, now we're done with all of the Taimanin figures, and I'm not going to be reviewing the rest of the second act hentai action figures at the moment, because I have to buy them, and I gotta wait until after the holidays to get them, so I'll be reviewing some other figures in the meantime, and posting some other unrelated videos. Get this figure, I love it, it's awesome. And hopefully in the future, like next year, I can start doing a figure comparison between the second act, the original Figma Sonico, and then the Bikini Figma Sonico, which I still have to buy, and then I think the Bandai one that comes with the transforming motorcycle. We'll try that next year. Also, happy anniversary to Sonico, which was like in October, but you know, I'm a little late. Anyway, I'm signing out. Thanks.